Unit 6. Page 62. Exercise B. Vocabulary. Travel nouns. Find and circle these words and phrases in the contest. Listen and repeat. Then, with a partner, explain the meaning of each one.
Checked baggage fees.
Carry-on luggage.
An overhead bin.
A missed connection.
Security screening.
A breakdown.
A flat tire.
A parking ticket.
Page 63. Exercise D. Spotlight. Read and listen to two friends talking about a travel hassle on a business trip. Notice the spotlighted language.
Oh no, my folder's missing. It had my passport and my boarding pass in it.
Uh-oh. Try to think. When did you see it last? Was it at the hotel?
Let's see. I'm drawing a blank. Oh, I remember now. I just finished printing out the boarding pass when the front desk called to say the airport limo was waiting downstairs. So I got my stuff together and split.
Do you think you could have left a folder in the room? Or at the front desk when you checked out? Or what about in the limo?
Well, I distinctly remember looking back at the seat of the limo before I slammed the door, just to check that I hadn't left anything. And I hadn't. It's got to be in the hotel.
Well, don't freak out. It's a safe bet they'll find it in the hotel.
You know, if I hadn't been rushing for the limo, this wouldn't have happened. The way I see it, I have no choice but to go back to the hotel. I'll grab a cab outside. You go on. You need to catch that plane.
Okay.
But if that folder isn't at the hotel, I'm toast. If it weren't for my stupid mistake, I wouldn't be going through this hassle. What will happen if I miss the dinner?
Well, you'll cross that bridge when you come to it. But hey, no sweat. If the folder's there, you can be back in time to make the 4 o'clock. We can meet up later. The dinner's not till 7.
Okay, I'm off. Keep your fingers crossed.
Page 64. Exercise A. Grammar Spotlight. Read the interviews about travel hassles. Notice the spotlighted grammar.
This is Oscar Zellers with another installment of Nightmares in a Nutshell. 3 callers are on the line from different airports around the world. First up is Isabella Wilson in New York, just arrived from a vacation trip to the south of France. Ms. Wilson, I understand you had your perfume taken from you when you went through security?
Unfortunately, yes. I got to the airport late and had to take my bag through security, but I'd forgotten the expensive French perfume I'd packed in that bag. It's not as if I don't know you can't take liquids through security. If I'd been thinking clearly, I would have arrived early enough to check my bag. Can you believe it was confiscated?
Next up is James Robillard in Montreal. He arrived in Brazil yesterday with an expired business visa and was put on a return flight back to Montreal. How unfortunate, Mr. Robillard.
You can't say that again. But frankly, I'm pretty annoyed that the agent here in Montreal who checked me in didn't notice the expired visa. If she'd been paying better attention, instead of worrying about how much my baggage weighed, she would have noticed it. She simply couldn't have been looking for the expiration date on the visa. She took a quick glance and saw that my passport was valid. But that was it.
And last but not least, let's talk to Alice Young. Ms. Young started out in Shanghai and flew to Los Angeles, where she connected with her flight to San Salvador. But Ms. Young's checked luggage wasn't transferred to the San Salvador flight. What bad luck, Ms. Young.
It sure was. And I've only got 1 day here in El Salvador. Tomorrow, I'm departing for Bolivia. Then the next day, Ecuador. Then Peru. My bags may never catch up with me. You know, if I were traveling on a weekday, or if I had another day here, it wouldn't be such a problem since I could go shopping. But today is Sunday, and most stores are closed. Take it from me, if you have to change planes, don't even think of checking your bag. Better safe than sorry.
Page 66. Exercise C.
Understand the grammar.
Listen to the conversations and infer whether the speakers are expressing regret or relief in each conditional statement. Exercise D.
Listen to activate grammar.
Listen again. Complete the paraphrase of what happened according to what you hear. Use if it weren't for or if it hadn't been for. Conversation 1.
What happened to you? You look like you fell in the river.
Very funny. I got caught in the rain. I didn't have an umbrella and the bus was late.
Couldn't you get a ride with someone?
Actually, I finally did. Ben drove by and saw me standing at the bus stop and gave me a lift. But I was already drenched. You know what, though? I'd still be standing there if it hadn't been for him.
Let me make you a hot cup of tea.
Conversation 2.
Wow, that was a close one.
Yeah. Did you see that guy? He went right through the red light. I think he was speeding, too.
It's a good thing I looked that way when the light changed to green. If it hadn't been for that, we might have had a terrible accident.
I don't even want to think about it. Thank goodness we didn't.
I guess that's a lesson for everyone. Don't count on other drivers observing the law.
Conversation 3.
Hey, Millie, I know it's really short notice, but I have an extra ticket for the Martha's Vineyard sightseeing boat. Stan has to work and can't use it. I'd really love you to come. What do you say?
Gee, thanks, Iris. I'd love to, but I can't. If it weren't for this cold, I'd definitely accept that invitation. I hear the tour is spectacular, and I've been wanting to take it myself.
Oh, no. Do you have that awful cold that's been going around?
I do.
I guess an open boat isn't a good place to be if you have a cold. I'm so sorry to hear you're sick.
Thanks so much for thinking of me.
Conversation 4.
Oh my gosh, this line is so long.
Well, it's to be expected. There were 5 international flights that landed at the same time. Immigration can't handle so many people at once.
Do you think we'll ever get out of here?
Could we please have your attention? Is there a Spanish speaker here? We need assistance translating for a traveler.
I'm going to raise my hand.
Excuse me, ma'am. Do you speak Spanish?
I do, yes.
Do you think you could step to the head of the line with me? We need your help translating for a Spanish-speaking traveler. She doesn't speak any English.
Sure, but can I bring my friend with me? We're traveling together.
Of course. Please step this way.
Wow, what a lucky break. If it weren't for the fact that you speak Spanish, we'd be standing in line until 8 o'clock tonight.
Conversation 5.
Can you believe this? A flat tire.
Oh no, now what?
What do you mean? We'll have to change the tire.
We? You mean you.
We are so late.
True. It looks like we won't make the play. What a shame. And it was so hard to get these tickets.
And we left plenty early.
I still can't believe it. I really wanted to see it. If it weren't for this flat tire, we'd be arriving about now.
Conversation 6.
Sam, what a surprise. This cruise is fantastic, isn't it?
It's really great. Joanne, I was so sorry to hear about your divorce.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. It's been a hard few months, but I'll get through it.
How long were you and Jeremy married?
Almost 5 years. And you know, looking back, I can see why our marriage fell apart. I actually blame myself.
What do you mean? It's never only one person's fault.
Well, in this case, to be honest, I think it pretty much was. I acted more interested in my career than in my husband. I was a regular workaholic, and Jeremy had to spend so many evenings alone.
Can't you patch things up?
No, it's over. Time to move on. This trip has given me some time to focus on the future, but I can't help thinking that Jeremy and I would still be married if it hadn't been for my thoughtlessness.
Page 67. Exercise A. Conversation Spotlight. Read and listen. Notice the spotlighted conversation strategies.
Excuse me. I wonder if you could do me a favor.
No problem. How can I help?
I think I left my phone at the counter. Would you mind keeping my place in line?
Not at all. I'd be happy to.
Thanks. I'll be right back.
Well, that was fast. It's a good thing your phone was still there.
And if it hadn't been for you, I would have lost my place in line. Thanks.
Page 68. Exercise B. Reading. Read about problems with public Wi-Fi. What surprised you the most?
Using public Wi-Fi networks. So it's your first trip away from home, and you've got your smartphone, your tablet or laptop with you, and you plan to keep up with everything and stay in touch while you're away. You're thinking, no sweat, there are Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere, and it's free. Well, before you lull yourself into a false sense of security, consider the downside of all that free Wi-Fi. If you connect to a public Wi-Fi network and send information through websites or mobile apps, it might be accessed by someone else who can, for example, use your credit information to make online purchases. Okay, that's not the end of the world, you say, because an unusual buying pattern usually trips a fraud alert at the credit card company. They'll contact you and you'll confirm you didn't make the purchase. The card will be canceled, limiting or preventing any damage, so no harm done. But here's a downside. An imposter could use your email account to impersonate you and scam people in your contact lists. In addition, a hacker could test your username and password to try to gain access to other websites, including sites that store your financial information. Worst case scenario? Someone could actually steal your financial identity and pose as you to clean out your bank accounts, removing all your hard-earned money. Repairing a stolen identity can take a long time and cause a lot of hassle. Identity theft is no joke. Prevent it at all costs. So beware. If you send email, share digital photos and videos, use social networks, or bank online, you're sending personal information over the internet. How to protect yourself? Think encryption. Encryption scrambles the information you send over the internet into a code so it's unintelligible and therefore not accessible to others. If you're on a public wireless hotspot, send personal information only to sites that are fully encrypted, and avoid using any mobile apps that require personal or financial information. And don't just assume a Wi-Fi hotspot is secure either. Most don't encrypt the information you send over the internet and aren't secure. In fact, if a network doesn't require a WPA or WPA2 password, it's probably not secure. And your personal information, private documents, contacts, family photos, and even your login credentials, your username and password for any site you enter could be up for grabs. How to tell if a website is encrypted. To determine if a website is encrypted, look for HTTPS at the start of the web address. The S is for secure. Some websites use encryption only on the sign-in page, but if any part of your session isn't encrypted, your entire account could be vulnerable. Look for HTTPS on every page you visit, not just when you sign in. Tips for using Wi-Fi securely. Log in or send personal information only to websites you know are fully encrypted. If you find yourself on an unencrypted page, log out right away. Don't stay permanently signed in to an account. When you've finished using an account, log out. Do not use the same password on different websites. It could give someone who gains access to one of your accounts access to many of your accounts. For more control over when and how your device uses public Wi-Fi, consider changing your settings so your device doesn't connect automatically.
Page 70. Exercise A. Listening warm-up. Word study.
Past participles as noun modifiers. The past participles of transitive verbs can function as noun modifiers. They can precede or follow the noun they modify.
Read and listen.
My tire was damaged. I took my damaged tire to the garage. My purse was stolen at a store. I found the stolen purse without my wallet at the back of the store. My passport was lost. Luckily, the police found the lost passport.
Now listen again and repeat. Page 70.
Pronunciation Booster. Page 147.
Exercise A. Listen and practice. 1,
Moved.
2,
Cancelled.
3,
Described.
4,
Stayed.
5,
Agreed.
6,
Helped.
7,
Asked.
8, 9,
Watched.
10,
Waited.
11,
Reported.
12,
Needed.
13.
Included.
Exercise B. Listen and practice. 1,
If I'd looked at the expiration date, I would have renewed my passport.
2,
If I weren't Japanese, I might have needed a visa to enter the country.
3,
If we'd left on time, we wouldn't have missed our flight.
Now practice saying each word aloud and listen to compare. 1,
Avoided.
2,
Looked.
3,
Summarized.
4,
Arrived.
5,
Owed.
6,
Ruined.
7,
Kicked.
8,
Refunded.
9,
Promised.
10,
Covered.
11,
Added.
12,
Changed.
13,
Reported.
14,
Discussed.
15,
Investigated.
16.
Enjoyed.
Exercise D. Practice saying each sentence aloud, paying attention to reductions. Listen to compare. 1,
If I'd put my passport in my briefcase, it wouldn't have gotten lost.
2,
If you'd checked the luggage limits, you might have avoided extra charges.
3,
If my friend's luggage hadn't gotten stolen, he could have gone on the sightseeing tour.
4,
I probably wouldn't have missed my flight if I had come on time.
5,
If they'd taken a few simple precautions, their luggage might not have gotten stolen.
Page 70. Exercise D. Listen for main ideas. Listen to part 1 of a radio report. Write a check mark next to the statement that best expresses its main idea. Exercise E. Listen again. Write a check mark next to the tips Tina Traveler gave listeners. Write an X next to any tips on the list she didn't give. Exercise F.
Listen to understand meaning from context.
Listen again and complete each statement with one of these words or phrases from Tina Traveler's advice. Part 1.
This is Tina Traveler, your travel advisor, with your travel tips of the day. Listen every day and learn something new and interesting every time. So, nothing can ruin a vacation or business trip faster than not having the clothing and other belongings you shopped for and packed thoughtfully in anticipation of your trip. As we all know, baggage can be delayed, stolen, and damaged as you make your way from home to your destination. But today, we'll be talking about the worst, baggage that is simply lost, most often by an airline. Here's the scenario. You've arrived at your final destination and waited patiently for what seems like forever at the baggage carousel as other bags roll by, picked up one by other travelers. The bags slow to a trickle until finally the carousel stops. Your bags are nowhere in sight. If you had to change planes, you wonder whether the bags were transferred to your connecting flight or whether they simply were sent to the wrong destination. You take your luggage checks to the airline's missing luggage counter and file a claim. You're optimistic. The majority of bags that don't arrive with you will usually arrive on the next flight and will be delivered to your local address within a few hours, or, if they were sent to the wrong airport, within a day or two. If you're lucky, you aren't planning to fly on to another destination, because in that case, getting your bags to you can get quite complicated. Many airlines will reimburse you for any unexpected expenses caused by the delay, such as the need to replace underwear or cosmetics and other toiletries. Ask your airline to do this and keep your receipts. And if the worst happens and your bags are permanently lost or completely destroyed, be sure to file a claim for damages, meaning the cost you will incur to replace what you have lost. The maximum amount you can receive differs from country to country and airline to airline. But one thing is certain, you won't receive anything if you are unable to document what you lost. You may need to produce sales receipts to prove the value of the items you had in your suitcase. If you have them, include them with your claim. Don't expect to receive the full amount you originally paid for your things. The airline will pay you for the depreciated value of your items if they aren't new. Here are some tips to prevent the loss of your airline baggage. Put your name on the outside and inside of every bag. Put a copy of your itinerary inside the bag, especially if you're traveling to more than one destination. That way the airline can locate you. Avoid checking into your flight late and avoid tight connections where your bag has to be transferred. These two situations are the cause of most lost or delayed bags. Don't put expensive valuables in checked bags. Computers, cameras, wallets, and jewelry should go with you in your carry-on baggage. Airlines almost never reimburse you if those items are lost. Keep an itemized list of what you have in your bag for the unlikely event that you'll have to tell the airline what you've lost. And finally, be sure to look at the destination label the airline puts on your bag to be sure it's the destination you're traveling to. Mistakes happen, and when they do, your bag will go where the label sends it. And be sure to hold on to the luggage checks you are given when you check in. In tomorrow's show, I'll tell you where bags lost in the United States often end up.
Page 70. Listen for details. Listen to Part 2 of Tina Traveler's report. Then answer the questions. Listen again if necessary. Part 2.
Tina Traveler here again with today's travel tip of the day. Still on the subject of lost luggage, but from a very different angle. Yesterday we discussed how to avoid having the airlines lose your luggage. But let's say that happens, and let's say you've agreed to be reimbursed for your loss and you've moved on. But here's an interesting twist. Today we're at the Unclaimed Baggage Center, a one-of-a-kind store in the U.S. and a major tourist attraction here in the state of Alabama in the U.S. South. Over 1 million people visit it each year from the U.S. and over 40 other countries. The Unclaimed Baggage Center's motto is "You never know what you'll find." This unusual business buys bags left behind by passengers from airlines, bus companies, and railways. I know what you're thinking, but yes, some people just don't pick up their bags. They buy them sight unseen, and one company executive says, "We have no idea what's in the bags when we purchase them." The company says it sorts the contents of the luggage and only puts the best merchandise out for sale. All clothes are dry cleaned and laundered. Fine jewelry is cleaned and priced. All electronic equipment is tested and cleared of data. What they can't sell, they donate or recycle. The Unclaimed Baggage Center feels more like a department store than the typical lost and found department you can find at any train or bus station. Here you can find top brands, with some items that still have their original store price tags attached to them. Many high-end electronic products are, in spite of all advice, packed in checked luggage. In a recent year, the Unclaimed Baggage Center sold over 3,000 iPads, as well as thousands of smartphones, headphones, cameras, laptops, and their accessories. It is said that the center puts out more than 5,000 items a day, and the price is right. Many are discounted as much as 80% below their original selling prices. You might ask why these items hadn't been returned to their original owners. The owner of the Unclaimed Baggage Center says that it has contracts with airlines and other companies who have already settled and paid claims to customers. Sometimes, however, the items couldn't be returned because they had no identification on them. Before you get mad, however, it's important to note that airlines say that only 0.5% of checked bags are lost, and of those, 98% are eventually returned to their owners.
Page 73.
Review. Exercise A. Listen to 3 conversations. On the notepad, summarize what happened in each conversation. Conversation 1.
Please remove all electronic devices and laptops and place them in the container on the belt. Remove all metal items such as belts, coins, and cell phones and place them in the container. Excuse me, sir. Would you mind opening your bag?
Sure.
I'm sorry, sir, but I'll have to take your shampoo and aftershave.
But there's just a little shampoo left in the bottle, and the aftershave is almost empty.
I'm sorry, sir. It's the size of the container that counts. And besides, liquids and gels have to be in a plastic Ziploc bag.
Okay, sorry. By the way, can I get reimbursed for the confiscated items?
No, sir. There are no reimbursements. It's your responsibility to know the rules and follow them.
Just asking.
Conversation 2.
You'll never believe what happened to me, or actually to my suitcase.
What happened?
Well, I took the airport bus out to the airport. They have those big spaces to put your luggage in under the bus.
Right.
Well, my bag somehow got left in the street and the driver backed up over it. Everyone on the bus heard the noise. The driver got out and called me outside. My name was on the bag.
So was the bag crushed?
Totally.
So what did you do?
Well, luckily I was really early for my flight and there was a luggage store right there on the same street. The driver was very apologetic. He gave me a form saying the company was responsible for the damage and showing me how to submit a receipt for a replacement bag. So I went to the luggage store and got a really nice bag.
And what about your clothes?
Unbelievably, they were okay. I just moved them into the new suitcase and left the old one there. I caught the next bus and made my flight. When I get home, I'll file a claim.
All's well that ends well.
Conversation 3.
How can I help you?
My bag was damaged. One of the wheels is broken. It was fine when I checked it in Saigon, but when I got it from the carousel, I found it like this.
Can I see the bag, please?
Sure. Here you go.
Well, I'm sorry, but there's no way to know if we were responsible for the damage. It's possible the wheel was in bad shape before you checked it in.
Actually, the suitcase was new. I got it in Saigon just yesterday.
Well, ma'am, if you wish, you can file a claim. Do you have the sales receipt for the bag? The airline will want to see that to determine if it was new.
Yes, I do. By the way, what's the airline's policy on reimbursement?
Well, you file your claim, and if it meets the requirements, you will be reimbursed for the price of the bag. It generally takes 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay. How do I file the claim?
Here's the form.
Thanks.
Page 73. Test-taking skills booster. Page 156. Listening completion.
You will hear part of a report. Read the paragraph below. Then listen and complete each statement with the word or short phrase you hear in the report. Listen a second time to check your work.
Here's the scenario. You've arrived at your final destination and waited patiently for what seems like forever at the baggage carousel as other bags roll by, picked up one by other travelers. The bags slow to a trickle until finally the carousel stops. Your bags are nowhere in sight. If you had to change planes, you wonder whether the bags were transferred to your connecting flight or whether they simply were sent to the wrong destination. You take your luggage checks to the airline's missing luggage counter and file a claim. You're optimistic. The majority of bags that don't arrive with you will usually arrive on the next flight and will be delivered to your local address within a few hours, or, if they were sent to the wrong airport, within a day or two. If you're lucky, you aren't planning to fly on to another destination, because in that case, getting your bags to you can get quite complicated. Many airlines will reimburse you for any unexpected expenses caused by the delay, such as the need to replace underwear or cosmetics and other toiletries. Ask your airline to do this and keep your receipts. And if the worst happens and your bags are permanently lost or completely destroyed, be sure to file a claim for damages, meaning the cost you will incur to replace what you have lost. The maximum amount you can receive differs from country to country and airline to airline. But one thing is certain, you won't receive anything if you are unable to document what you lost. You may need to produce sales receipts to prove the value of the items you had in your suitcase. If you have them, include them with your claim. Don't expect to receive the full amount you originally paid for your things. The airline will pay you for the depreciated value of your items if they aren't new.